Hi there, this is Wallace Simpson, photographer, and I thought I would do an unboxing of some new books I just received from blurb.com from my recent trip to Cuba. I've never really done one of these unboxing videos before, so I'll go ahead and give this a shot. I had originally recorded this with my GoPro and the audio didn't work, so I have to come back over and do a voiceover. So let's see if I can open up this box without cutting myself. That'll be a trick. While I'm doing that, let me tell you, back in January, I went to Cuba with a group of really amazing photographers. And there are about a dozen of us, and we were there for 8 days traveling around Havana and Trinidad, Cuba. And the photography there is just absolutely amazing. And so what happened was I ended up shooting over 3,000 photos, and I got about a couple hundred keepers, and I worked with a good friend of mine who's a very ruthless editor, and we whittled that down to about 120 or 130 pictures. I wrote some text, and he helped me with that, tweak it a little bit, make it really great. And so I decided I would try to put together a photo book using Lightroom. There's a book module in there that's pretty cool, pretty easy to use, and I used that to put together the book and then send it over to Blurb. And so what you see here is me unboxing. This is actually the third shipment that I've received. I keep all of this packing material because I've sold a bunch of these books online, and I ship them out and I reuse the packing. And they do a really nice job in putting together the book and also the packing of it. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and open these up and give you a glimpse as to what the book looks like. So what they did is they sent me a nice little card, a thank you card. That's nice. There's probably a discount code in there that I'll use in the future. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up one of these. I'm going to send this one to my daughter in California, so I'm sure she won't mind if I go ahead and open this and give you a look at it. It's got some nice shrink wrapping on it. Each book is individually shrink wrapped. And then this particular book that I've put together, I think they call it the 10 by 8 portrait, the landscape portrait, hardback bound, matte print on paper. The hardback's quite nice. Here's the cover. If you like classic cars, they're everywhere in Cuba, so you're going to see a few of those in the book. Here's the spine. Again, all of this was laid out in Lightroom, which was fairly easy to use. If you're interested in learning more about how I did that, let me know. I'm trying to put together some online training. So separate image here on the back. And then what I'll do is just flip through and show you what was going on when I was putting together this book. So again, nice hardbound. There's the title page, and then there's the second set of text here where I can put the copyright information and a little bit of the information about the trip itself. It's mostly a picture book. There are multiple sections, each with a little bit of text to set up the section. This first section was all about the people, just unbelievable and amazing people in Cuba. So gracious, so nice. And this is a lot of street run and gun photography. I don't do a lot of posed people photography, so this was a bit outside of my comfort zone. Asking people to take their pictures, showing it to them. These guys are kind of interesting in downtown Havana. The guy on the right. This guy over here on the right was a blacksmith in Trinidad, and he shoot a horse right in front of us. I've got some pretty neat GoPro video of him doing that. And then the guy on the left is a cowboy out in the Trinidad area. They had set up an impromptu horse race for us. I don't think he was one of the racers, but he was just chilling on his horse, and it was just such a beautiful scene, as was the case in most of the places where we went in Cuba. So some street photography, people, just the nicest people you could imagine. Really interested in speaking to Americans. Everywhere we went, they literally came out of their houses to come talk to us. And then there's a section on sports. Sports are very popular and important in Cuba. We were wandering around Old Havana, and we came across this boxing gym. And there was a coach in there working with some kids. And they let us wander around and take some pictures. And we were there for probably 30 to 40 minutes. This guy on the left wasn't having such a great day, but it was such a beautiful scene to see these kids working hard. This guy on the right was into it, a little guy with the 101 Dalmatians shirt. And then wandering further down the streets, we ran into this guy, old baseball coach, youth baseball coach in Cuba. And he had turned his home into a museum commemorating baseball in Cuba, and it was really interesting. Really nice guy. Didn't speak a lot of English, but didn't need to. And then there's a section on the skateboarding. We went there with an NGO or non-governmental organization, Amiga Skate out of Miami, and Renee's doing some really great work in arranging for donations of skateboarding equipment to the young adults there in Cuba. There are no skateboard shops anywhere on the island, so it's important to get some equipment in there. So what they do is they put the Amigo on the skateboard, and then the one on the left, that colorful one, my kids and I actually put that together over the holiday break right before I went to Cuba. It says "Amore es libre," love is free, and it was really fun putting that together. And I took it over in my carry-on or my checked bag, and found a kid and gave it to him, and I think he's digging it. And so here are there's a section on classic cars, and they really are everywhere. Their classic cars are just everywhere. They're beautiful. They're private taxis that are handed down from generation to generation, and it's a pretty good job if you can have one of these cars, but it's tough to keep them running. So they do all the work on them themselves. They're basically falling apart. Some of them are nice, but most of them are really falling apart. Just beautiful. So if you like classic cars, there are a lot of cool pictures of classic cars from both Havana and Trinidad throughout the island. And then the street art was pretty cool. This guy, 5 Star, I actually connected with him on Instagram, which is unusual because not a lot of people are on the internet there. This Viva Fidel image was not staged or posed at all. It's just something we came across on the streets in Havana. And so it was pretty cool to just walk around and see how people are trying to express themselves. They're Yankee fans, of course, because they're baseball fans. The one on the left here was the backdrop on the park where we were invited to a skateboarding event. That was a pretty neat thing to see. And then street shots, wandering around. We did probably 7 or 8 miles a day of walking, just cruising around through the neighborhoods by foot. These girls were adorable, hanging out on the back of a car, watching a dozen crazy Americans take their pictures, and then this guy on the right was just hanging out, working on a bicycle tire in Trinidad. So it was really interesting just wandering around the streets. We went through a market. It was kind of tough, looking at raw meat and chicken just sitting out in the sun, but that's just the way it is. They sell vegetables. There's not a huge variety of food produced in Cuba because of the embargoes. But I can't get over how nice the people were everywhere we encountered them. They were just so gracious and giving. This picture on the right is a Russian-made taxi cab. We didn't ride in any of those because they're state-run. They're not private, and we wanted to just stick with the private cabs as much as possible. So street shots. They're just everywhere. Everywhere you go in Cuba, it's beautiful and spectacular. And it was pretty hard getting down to a manageable size for the book. So hey, if you're interested in checking it out, it's available on Amazon.com, or you can contact me directly. There's a Kindle version that's pretty cool. It looks beautiful on Kindle devices and tablets. And just let me know if you're interested, and I can hook you up with the book. Yeah, you can order it on Amazon and get the hard copy. It's a little bit more expensive than if you just contact me directly through my website. So that's it. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get a chance to check it out. The Amazon reviews have been really good, and I hope you get a chance to check it out. Thanks.